Hi, this is Dan Heisman, Philly tutor for Chess FM. This is the Improve Your Chess video series for ICC members. In today's video, we're going to look at a game that was played over the board at the World Open kind of slow time limit of 40 moves in 2 hours, so the time stamping won't mean anything. All right, we have a similar opening to our previous video. White plays e4 and black plays d5 center counter game. And again, white plays the really only good move to try to keep the advantage, which is to take. If he wants to play a black mar d-mar gambit, he could play d4, of course. So e takes d5. And black, as in the previous game, plays knight f6. And as I mentioned in the previous video, here I like to play knight f3. It's not the most popular move, but I think it's the best move order. White plays the most popular move, which is d4. And now black has a choice. He can play a regular Scandinavian, or he could play a Portuguese variation. And again, like the last game, we get a Portuguese variation. This is where the two games start to differ. Maybe it'd be more accurate to say this is where the two games do differ. In the previous game, white played the solid bishop e2. But now he plays the much more exciting move, f3. All right, so that's this game. It's going to give the game a sharper character. This game is relatively short, so we can go into the opening in a little bit of depth, and especially we want to do that after a couple more moves. So black plays the main book move here, which is to play bishop to f5, and now white has a bunch of moves. There's a bunch of book moves that are all reasonable, and white has a perfectly good position here. Let me show you a couple of the moves the computer came up with if the computer didn't have its book in. One move it looked at was bishop checks. Black here can try to play knight b to e7, but the bishop on g6 is a little bit awkward. If c6, d takes c6, knight takes c6, white can play knight e2, e6, and c4 here to get some central pressure. And black has a little compensation for his pawn, but white is solid and doing well. So that's one line white could try. White could also try another book line, which is to play g6. And if bishop g6, then he could play c4 with similar play to before. Maybe if e3, then the solid knight to c3. E takes d5. White can play the removal of the guard g5 and go after the d pawn. For instance, the computer suggests if knight f d7, knight d5, knight c6. And again, black has some compensation, but not quite full. All right, those things were not played in the game. Here, white played c4, which is a perfectly good move, making black decide what to do. And black plays an Icelandic gambit kind of move. e6, this is not an Icelandic gambit. It's a bishop g4 variation in the Scandinavian, but it has some of the same aspects here. And white has to decide what to do. Again, without its book, just on its own, the engine suggests that knight c3 is white's best move here. The game could do something like e takes d5, g4 again, with the idea of g5 like we saw on that previous line. So that's one possibility after knight c3. Knight c3 is solid. White decided to take the pawn. Now that looks a little greedy, but actually it's quite okay book move. And here black knew this book, and this is what was played in the game, and black played knight to c6. And here all the books say that white has to play bishop e3, and in fact bishop e3 is white's best move. But I think the implication is that if white doesn't play bishop to e3 here, that he could be losing.